So now for the engineers among you and those who didn't want a philosophical discussion, some tools to improve your vocabulary learning. By the way, everything you see here, you will be hinted at in my courses, of course. I make use of the most intelligent tools out there. They are not all created by me, luckily. I wouldn't have much time for that. Vocab apps. There is plenty of vocab apps. There is 2 that I can recommend, 2.5. One I prefer for very clear reasons. One is Memrise, my favorite. The other is Anki. All other apps, feel free to work with whatever you want. If you want my expertise, these are the 2 Porsches among the vocab apps. I prefer Memrise, but there's good reason to use Anki. For some people, Anki is best for general information acquisition. So if you study the law or you're a medical student, you can add more stuff onto your flashcards. Memrise is not that suitable. Memrise is a perfect language vocabulary app. It's beautifully designed. It's a joy. It's a pleasure to work with. It can get a bit dull, but so can Anki. Anki has one disadvantage. Actually, how can I share let me share my screen with you. Let me go through this and then I give you a little run through indeed, because it will be fast, through all the apps I show you. Then you need dictionaries. I provide you with all the words, the meaning of all the words in my course, but you still might, of course, for fun, for joy, read stuff outside. You need dictionaries. The best dictionary out there, whatever you think, is Google Translate. It's quick and handy, but that doesn't mean it needs to be the only one. The next thing is DeepL. DeepL has its advantages, is also nice, so it doesn't really matter which one you take. I love Google Translate. If you know how to use it, it does everything you need from it. And Lingui is a beautiful tool I'll show you in a minute, because it gives you real-life examples for anything you look for. And then there's something in between that's called ReadLang. I'll show you. You can work with ReadLang if you like, but Memrise and Anki I will make redundant soon, at least for those who work with my course. Anyone who works with other materials might still want to use those 2. And also ReadLang. ReadLang and Link and back in the days, Blue, who doesn't exist anymore, were inspirations for a tool I am having created at this point. I'll show you a little preview. So let me quickly share another screen with you. Now you should see what I see. Yeah. So the first thing I walk you through is Memrise. And again, I will not go in there, but you see the design is nice. You can do almost any language you want, but and they're pretty nice. If you click on German 1, you get to a nice course. But if you work with my course, please don't do that. Yeah, see, you have a couple of lessons. You can go here, and they do a pretty good job nowadays. You see, they have little phrases here. They have individual words. In my experience, they have a lot of individual words in the higher levels, which is something, that's a grammar lesson even. Hier nicht, ich auch, ich nicht. These are a little bit weak, but for anyone who's not working with my course, that's fine. This, of course, has an app version, which is easier in many ways. So if you can work online, work on your desktop or computer. And this is my course here, Die Tote Frau im Garten. This is what you will, of course, be directed to when you work with my course. And then I'm not sure whether you can hear that, but it plays the audio, gives you a context, and then you move on. This thing down here you can ignore. Yeah. Genau. And then you actually have to type stuff. Yeah. Es ist ein schöner Tag. And return. Beautiful. So this is very beautifully designed. This down here I would love to deactivate, but I can't. So this is Memrise, very beautiful. It's free. You can purchase something, but you don't have to, and you shouldn't. At least if you work with my course. Yeah. Yeah, DictCC I use because I'm lazy. It's easy. I just enter a D and it's there. You can use any dictionary, but it depends on what you use it for. If you work with my course, you work with sentences and phrases, and DictCC is very limited in that regard. I go to the dictionaries in a minute. Anki here, it's the address ankiweb.net. Be careful, there is another Anki web, which possibly costs money. Anki basically is free for whatever platform, and it looks like this. You can enter any language here and see, and then you see, oh God, I'm overwhelmed. So many things. You can go for ratings, see which ones are actually good. Here, 136, 4,000 words by frequency, and then you kind of play with it. So here I also have my course here, if you can find it. I click on it, and then you start. Ein schöner Tag. We should have audio here. For whatever reason, it doesn't play. And then once you have answered something, you have to actually tell them, I cannot see this. Was it hard? Was it good? Was it easy? And this way, Anki will decide when to show it to you again. It's actually a very basic spaced repetition system. And you see the design is something, to get used to, but it's fine. Let's say it's easy, and then you continue, and so on and so on. Yeah. Basic settings. And you can get an app. For Android it's free, but for iOS it's $25, which honestly is pretty steep. It's a different person who did this. They explain that on their page. You know, it's a nice app, but I can't remember when I paid $25 the last time for an app. Yeah, if you really need this and love Anki, sure, go for it. Developing apps costs a lot of money, trust me. So that's good. ReadLang we do later. This too. Quickly, Google Translate. So I just gave you a couple of examples here, or created a couple of examples. Google Translate is wonderful. You can look up things, or how do I say the parts of this? You can also switch things around. So when you drive, I will instruct you how to use it with my course, because if you have a text and you write a text in German, you can quickly check with Google Translate even whether what you wrote makes some sense. It will not find all the mistakes. Yeah, but it gives you articles. Yeah. If you have, take a look, I drive, I drove. If you say I have driven, bin gefahren, you see it shows you the bin here, which is something you will learn. This is nonsense. Yeah. The car, it shows you the article. If you enter the car, if you do car on your own, it will not show. Yeah, but it shows you alternatives which you don't need. So you have to know a little bit how to use it. A bar, eine Bar. If I say a bear, it should change to ein Bär. But you cannot see the gender until you write the bear. Yeah, beautiful. And grammar is also doable here. So in a bar, you see in einer Bar. On a bar, auf einer Bar. So there's something, they use the same case. ER at the end of ein indicates the dative case for now. But if I say onto a bar, you see it changes. And that's because of the translation of the little word auf, which we would cover in my course in lesson 25 to 27, I think. Yeah. So it's very beautiful to play around and to confirm things that you are actually working on. Beautiful stuff. Next thing is DeepL does this. That was Lingui. Funny. So Lingui is basically the dictionary of DeepL. I forgot about that. Didn't notice it today. So yeah, DeepL is more for text and documents, while Lingui, if you have das Auto, and you have a couple of suggestions here. But if you enter das Auto, here you scroll down, you have external sources. And you can see das Auto-Ölprogramm, some weird stuff though sometimes, but it might help here and there because you have a translation here. And if you have something more to run, so let's say we do it the other way around, you see here plenty of variations. Yeah, in English it might always be to run, but in German it's laufen, führen, betreiben. So Lingui and DeepL are the same. DeepL is for texts. It shows you. Okay. The car does auto, it shows you that. This is, of course, wrong. This is when users don't understand what they're doing. So very, very beautiful stuff. If you just do car, it also doesn't show you das Fahrzeug, but it doesn't show you the article, unfortunately. Yeah. So you have to be a bit smart here, but you can listen to how it's pronounced. Sounds a bit computery, but it's fine. Does the job. Yeah. So dict-cc is something someone said. I do this, as you can see, it's quickly there. Of course, you can also say auto here. That would actually show you here the gender in form of N, M, and F. It's a quick lookup of things, but it's als Auto, and it also does schneller als mein Fahrrad. If I enter a whole phrase, it doesn't have the right phrase here. It's different. And that's why it's really just for a very quick lookup of things. Yeah. Then there is a tool called ReadLang, which I really, really like. It's still a bit too cumbersome, but it's fine. You can implement it into Chrome. Here you see the little R is loading it. They have public text, which very likely, very often are just illegally uploaded by users, but let's not worry about that. It's not our problem. It's ReadLang's problem. I have my text on there, but just to test it, to play around. What ReadLang does, it is not limited to that platform. It allows you to read any web page. You go to a German news page, you can just work with this once this is installed. It's, the free version is a bit limited. So what it does nicely, you see, you can get a translation, but not only that. Let's take a look. Let me introduce these two. It's a beautiful day. Eine eigene kleine Welle mag es hier zu sein. I need a shorter sentence. Give me a second. Bevor Blumenfeld in den Garten geht. See, and 6 words per phrase, 10 phrase translations a day. I played around with it too much. So the moment you actually highlight this, and again, sometimes if you highlight a whole sentence, the translation changes. Individual words might be different, but as soon, and ReadLang does it really, really nicely. The moment you have a full sentence, it possibly uses Google Translate. It shows you a proper meaning. Now, once we've done that, we can take a look. Here's another dictionary you can actually integrate. Let's go to, I don't want to go there. I want to go back. I want to go to my flashcards. I can review 6 words. Stefan fahren zurück ins Büro. That was from today. So here you see, es ist ein schöner Tag, die Sonne scheint. And you see here the translation. It's beautifully done. That's the list. And then you see where you have found it. You could click there and you would find it again here. Yeah. Now, you could use my course with this. I don't recommend that, but you can play around with it. I tell you in a minute why. So here you do, this is also less than elegant. It's also too much stuff here. You think, what is that in English? You write this and then you say, okay, I didn't remember almost, or yes. Yeah. And then it also will review this with you. Während der Fahrt macht Stefan. Very nice. Yeah. Beautiful idea. The problem is, I'm not sure whether he's actually still developing it, because I think he works for either Memrise or some other platform nowadays, Duolingo. But now comes the thing. So I found this so lovely. I wanted this functionality, but not that you could actually go into the internet and read whatever. We are currently creating a vocabulary trainer, which will be accessible instantly on the page in the course, on every page in the course where there is a text. And you can simply highlight any word. It doesn't work yet. It's still in the making, but you will be able to select words, sentences. And once you do that, they will actually come in here and will be shown here. This is just an example. You can listen to this or the whole sentence, and you can have hints. We haven't done much here yet. It's really in the early stages. But it's just neat and beautiful, and there will be a button in the corner here, and you just open it. So in hopefully 3 months' time, everything is a bit slower thanks to Corona. You will be able to use it, and there will always be beautiful shortcuts, so you can nicely use it with your computer. Yeah, good. So it's just lean. It's all you need to work through my course. So I really, really like this. Yeah, beautiful work by a student of mine. So here you could theoretically use ReadLang. Yeah, so here you see German, and then I say Blumenfeld's job is this. It should give me an error. Oh no, it says, yeah, so you could also do that. The thing is not that you translate everything. It's just every now and then you feel like there's a word missing. Before, what was that? Yeah, before. And all these words are transferred to your dictionary. Now, ReadLang costs money. Nothing. It's nothing, $5 a month for what they offer. Yeah, if you want to support them, that's fine. But as I said, if for my course, you don't need to pay extra for the vocabulary tool that's about to come. So this is a beautiful way to learn vocabulary because it provides you with context. It also focuses on things that are, what are they? Important. So I have more of a presentation for you. So let me walk you through the last few slides, and then we have a Q&A. Yeah. Principles of learning vocab. You can spend hours and hours and hours on memorize, but your brain needs breaks. Otherwise, you make acquaintance with retrograde and anterograde inhibition. And it's as bad as it is actually understandable. Simply means if you learn too much, the new information will hinder the storage of the old information. And the old information will hinder the digestion of the new information. And that's something you want to avoid. Breaks allow you to have better processing, more results for your work. You need to take breaks, and when and how to take breaks, I describe in my course. A must, if you find an app for whatever reason you want to use another app, an app that doesn't offer spaced repetition, toss it away. It's a waste of time. Spaced repetition is a 100-year-old principle that has been proven scientifically to be right. It's, of course, still in the Kinderschuhe, we say it's very basic in its idea, but even that basic idea is so extremely more powerful than just working with physical flashcards or a vocabulary sheet, vocabulary notebook. Don't do that to yourself. Spaced repetition is what Memrise uses. It means you get a word right, it's repeated tomorrow. It's repeated 3 days later, 7 days, 28 days, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year later, and then 10 years later, God knows. And it's a very simple principle, but you have a forgetting curve. And of course, again, we are far from being precise here, but spaced repetition is a must. It's like, I don't know, wearing shoes on a stony path. Yeah. And it helps you to avoid overlearning. If you don't have spaced repetition, you actually waste a lot of time. 2 more principles I keep repeating: urgency and relevancy. What you learn is learned best if there's an urgency. Let's say you really need to prepare for a test, or you really have the urge to communicate to your mother-in-law, yeah, for whatever reason that might be. And let's say you want to please someone else, also fine, it's urgent enough. Relevancy means it's something you actually are interested in, that you might need in your life. Yeah, you might not be interested in buying stamps, but it's very relevant if you want to send your relatives a postcard. And these things, of course, are all integrated in my course and in Memrise. It's very important that you master the basics of things first and then specialize. I will come back to this very simple truth later. And one incredible important principle is dare the gap. You wouldn't believe how many of my learners, and well, I can only talk of my learners because that's what I've seen over the last 20 years, want to understand everything. And I know my mind, and I know the desire to fully understand really everything. I've been there. But I learned to actually enjoy the gap and not having to know everything. If you learn to live with uncertainty, with not knowing everything, your life will change 180 degrees.